So currently my work focuses on improving the environmental and public health impacts of our food system. I'm currently writing an article about the historical origins of the Farm Bill. This is a federal piece of legislation that's passed every 5 years or so by Congress and allocates just under $90 billion per year to the food system. The Farm Bill is hugely impactful and influences how half the land in our country is used and also the foods that we see in grocery stores and cafeterias. The Farm Bill started in the 1930s in response to the Great Depression, and it set in motion this legislative tradition that most of us don't pay attention to. I'm curious how its original architects thought about our food system, so who should make decisions, who should benefit, and how the whole thing aligns with our commitments to democracy. So my sense is that their thinking about the Farm Bill and maybe mistakes in their thinking still influences our food system today. And I think generally to change the future of food, we need to understand this history. I'm also working with an interdisciplinary team of scientists to advise the Department of Agriculture on how to spend the $20 billion that was recently passed by Congress in the Infrastructure Reduction Act to fight climate change through agriculture. So I became very interested in climate change in law school. Climate change was and is this big, scary, and incredibly complicated threat to society. And I realized then that compared with our energy system, so meaning cars and power plants, our food system is very understudied and underregulated, even though it has huge public health and environmental impacts. So for example, globally, the food system is responsible for about a third of carbon emissions. Domestically, the food system is responsible for billions of dollars in diet-related disease and public health costs per year. And so I made the food system the focus of my research. So I think climate change is an incredibly interesting public problem because it implicates every discipline. So science, obviously, but also philosophy, economics, politics, law, and culture. I am a trained philosopher and lawyer. Thinking about climate change lets me dabble in everything else, which keeps my research interesting. It also lets me feel like I'm making a positive difference in the world. So as I mentioned, there is a lot of momentum, not only in Congress, but in the Biden administration right now on using agriculture to deal with climate change. Here in Utah, there are concerns about the impact of agriculture on our water, which influences everything from, wildlife in the Great Salt Lake to our incredible winter recreation industry. And I hope that my work will influence broader discussions about how our food system might evolve to deal with national and state level environmental problems. So there's a lot of momentum on climate and agriculture across the public and private sectors. I'm closely watching the federal Farm Bill right now, which is being debated in Congress and has been delayed for about a year. I'm also closely watching how Western states like Utah are approaching agriculture as climate change is exacerbating environmental problems like drought and ecosystem collapse. And I'm also watching how the private sector plays a role in all of this. Many food companies are starting to make climate claims about the foods that they sell because they're purchasing things like carbon offsets and other carbon credits. I'm curious about how the public sector can work with the private sector in order to deal with climate change through agriculture.